Welcome to our latest geopolitical analysis. The security landscape of the Middle East is currently undergoing a rapid and highly volatile transformation. Let us begin by examining the skies over Tel Aviv. Circulating footage, heavily corroborated by local media, appears to show Iranian missiles breaching the airspace, with multiple reports indicating direct impacts within the city limits. This escalation is formally recognized as the 26th wave of what Iranian forces designate as Operation Crew Promise 4. The IARGC Aerospace Division has deployed a combination of advanced unmanned aerial vehicles and newly developed ballistic missiles. Iranian military officials have issued statements claiming a complete success rate for these strikes, specifically asserting the destruction of opposing radar systems. Think of these radar networks as the central nervous system of a nation's air defense. Blinding them is always a critical first tactical step in any broader aerial campaign. The shockwaves of this operation are radiating far beyond Israel, indicating a coordinated regional offensive. Verified photographic evidence, recently shared by independent journalists on the ground, depicts the stark aftermath of an Iranian attack on a U.S. Patriot missile defense site located in the UAE. Meanwhile, in southern Iraq, a separate drone strike targeted a U.S.-linked corporate facility. Specifically, the KPAR site situated within the Alberia Company complex in the Zubair district of Basra suffered a direct hit. Regional correspondents confirmed that the strike resulted in significant structural fires and property damage, though initial assessments thankfully indicate zero human casualties at that specific location. This rapidly expanding regional war is intrinsically tied to the ongoing U.S.-led initiative known as Operation Epic Fury, which is directed against Iranian military assets. The retaliatory responses are now heavily impacting sovereign security in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. One of the most significant and alarming incidents unfolded in the immediate vicinity of Baghdad International Airport. The strategically vital Victoria Base, a facility operated by American forces, was explicitly targeted by armed drones. Security sources have confirmed that at least two separate unmanned aerial vehicles penetrated the initial airspace. While air defense systems successfully intercepted one of the drones, the second projectile managed to crash directly inside the heavily fortified base perimeter. Within moments, massive columns of thick smoke were clearly visible rising from the military installation in footage rapidly circulated online. The responsibility for the Baghdad strike was swiftly claimed by Iraqi militia factions deeply aligned with Tehran. These groups went as far as releasing video footage allegedly documenting their precise targeting of the U.S. installation. Security analysts note that this specific strike is not an isolated event. Instead, it operates as a calculated component of a much wider, systematic campaign orchestrated by Iran and its regional allies to degrade American military infrastructure spread across the Middle East. This coordinated effort serves as a direct, asymmetrical response to the sustained aerial bombardments carried out by the U.S. and Israeli coalition against Iranian domestic targets. Armed factions operating under the collective banner of the Islamic resistance in Iraq have demonstrably intensified their daily operations against American logistics hubs since this latest phase of the conflict began. Simultaneously, the economic centers of the Gulf are feeling the direct pressure of this war. Tensions reached a boiling point when massive explosions echoed near Dubai International Airport in the UAE. Civil aviation authorities were forced to temporarily suspend all flight operations following what was initially classified as a suspected drone incursion near the primary runways. Subsequent statements from Emirati officials clarified that the localized damage was most likely the result of heavy flaming debris falling from the sky after defense batteries intercepted the incoming aerial threats. Despite the physical damage being relatively limited, the psychological impact was profound, causing widespread alarm and briefly paralyzing flight logistics at one of the busiest international transit hubs on the planet. To compound the regional instability, Saudi Arabia has also issued emergency reports detailing a direct and imminent aerial threat approaching one of its most strategically vital military installations, highlighting that no nation in the immediate vicinity remains insulated from this escalating conflict. We will continue to monitor the verified data on the ground and provide objective updates as this complex geopolitical situation continues to develop. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the rapidly deteriorating security architecture across the Middle East. The geographic scope of this conflict is widening at an alarming rate, and we are now seeing direct threats to sovereign nations that were previously operating on the periphery of this specific escalation. Saudi Arabia has officially reported a severe and direct threat to one of its most strategically vital military installations. According to highly placed Saudi defense officials, several ballistic and cruise missiles were launched directly toward the Prince Sultan Air Base, located near El-Kharj. To understand the gravity of this, you have to recognize that this base is not just a standard airfield. It serves as a critical, foundational logistics and operational hub heavily utilized by both Saudi and U.S. military forces. Fortunately, integrated air defense systems successfully intercepted multiple incoming projectiles long before they could breach the perimeter of the base, effectively preventing what could have been catastrophic major damage or mass casualties. However, these widening attacks have fundamentally raised the very real fear of a broader, uncontrollable regional war. Advanced warning systems have detected Iranian missiles and armed drones streaking across the airspace of multiple sovereign countries, specifically including Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and Iraq. While regional air defense networks have reportedly intercepted numerous incoming projectiles, the reality of gravity means that what goes up must come down. Consequently, several loud explosions and hazardous falling debris have been repeatedly reported in densely populated urban areas, bringing the physical reality of this war directly to civilian doorsteps. Meanwhile, the maritime domain is experiencing a parallel surge in severe tensions, particularly within the Strait of Hormuz. Think of this narrow waterway as the primary jugular vein for global energy markets. Any disruption here sends immediate shockwaves through the global economy. Security reports now indicate that a commercial tanker, which was actively attempting to navigate through this strategic choke point during the current crisis, was attacked. This occurred shortly after the vessel attempted to bypass a temporary, highly contested blockade imposed amid the escalating conflict. This specific incident sharply underscores the exponentially growing risk to international shipping lanes and the stability of global energy prices. Military analysts and defense strategists warn that this is not random violence. Rather, Iran's overarching strategy appears deliberately designed to expand the active battlefield far beyond its own domestic borders. By heavily activating allied armed militias and purposefully launching coordinated strikes across the entire Persian Gulf, the objective is clear. Experts say Tehran is attempting to apply maximum geopolitical pressure on regional governments and international powers, essentially holding regional stability hostage in an effort to halt the ongoing, heavy bombardment of Iranian military facilities. As the U.S.-led Operation Epic Fury aggressively enters its next phase, American and allied coalition forces are continuing to execute large-scale, precision air strikes targeting Iranian missile bases, tactical airfields, and central command centers. At the exact same time, Iran's calculated retaliatory campaign of asymmetric drone and ballistic missile attacks is rapidly spreading profound instability across the entire region. This dual escalation is steadily raising the terrifying possibility that this current, localized conflict could rapidly evolve into the absolute largest and most devastating Middle Eastern war we have witnessed in several decades. Adding a final, visual confirmation to this expanding front, the Iraqi armed group known as Sar al-Wadam has recently published video footage. The group explicitly states that this newly released media documents their direct missile strikes targeting the US-operated Victoria base, proving that the ground reality is moving just as fast as the strategic decisions being made in command centers.